Hello, hi, Vanakkam, and welcome to Nadanam Dance Podcast. I'm Anup Karthik, the host of the show, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you join me for another exciting episode. Get ready to dive deep into the world of dance as we explore everything related to dance. Whether you're a seasoned dancer, a passionate enthusiast, or simply someone who loves the beauty of movement, this episode has something special in store for you. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to all our listeners. Your support and enthusiasm means the world to me, and it's what keeps this podcast going strong. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, let's not waste any more time. Get ready to inspire, educated, and entertain as we embark on another dance-filled adventure together. Without further ado, let's jump right into today's episode. So, hi everyone. Today we have a special guest from RJ to VJ, house dancer to Afro Latin enthusiast, and now the maker of award winning dance film Revival. This conversation is all about his dance journey and the passion to make a dance based film. So I'm really proud to introduce my friend, Mr. Bharat Kishore, to our show. Welcome, Bharat. How are you?
Yeah. Hi, Anup. Good to see you. Good to see you in London.
Good to see you too. Yeah. Nice of you to join us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to my first podcast, and I'm very excited to see how this goes.
This will really goes well, I think. Hope so. So happy to see you again, and your journey from RJ to at Radio Mirchi you have started, and then
Right.
VJ at Z Network, and then
Correct.
into Latin dance and house dance, and now a filmmaker
Correct.
is kind of incredibly diverse. So can you share
Yes.
the key moments or experience that influenced each transition in your career?
Yes.
Let's start
Great.
from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a good question, especially in India. They say that it takes one full family to make a first generation artist. So I think that's where I would like to start with gratitude that it took my entire family, their support and sacrifice to make a first generation artist. And I keep saying this at every interview because I think in India, I think without family support, it's very difficult. And so I would start with this quote saying, deserve to desire. Yeah, and a lot of people who followed my journey, who know my journey or want to know, they keep asking me, was it luck? What was it that has, played its role? So I say you constantly keep working on your skills. So I was hosting a show. It all started with a show for Shamak Davar. So Shamak Davar did an audition for dancers to host their show, which was a show about Aladdin and Genie. So he needed an Aladdin and a Genie. And so they did an audition, and finally they had selected me and another guy who is now a popular Telugu actor, Nihal, who played the Aladdin's role. So he's also a dancer, now an actor, and I played the Genie. And that's when somebody from Times of India had seen me hosting the show. And I think they liked what I was doing, and they called me for an audition. And I did not go. I said no, because I don't even have radio at home. And I was like, no, this is not happening, right? I didn't even know what an RJ was. But they kept pursuing. And one day I eventually said, okay, let me give it a shot. Then I auditioned, and before I could leave the radio station, it was Radio Mirchi, and they immediately hired me, and that's how my radio journey started. So it wasn't luck. It was that when the opportunity came, I was working on certain skills, which is talking, which is emceeing, and certain intrinsic traits like spontaneity and creativity, humor, and all of this. And that's how radio happened. So I was made the face of Mirchi. And so people could actually not just hear, but see me every day on Times of India page 3. They would see me hosting shows, judging shows. So I think that really helped that visibility. And then Z came. So I hosted the first ever reality show in Telugu.
Okay.
So it was called Kondivi Raja Kotlu, like the Beauty and the Beast. And that's how TV happened. So people started seeing me. Then IPL happened, and I hosted The Sunwave is, it was Deccan Chargers then, so the Hyderabad franchisee. So that's how slowly the visibility kept increasing. And while I was doing all this, I was still dancing. Dance was the common point, whether I was doing radio, TV, or doing this IPL thing. Then I signed 2 more movies. I actually did a movie which was inspired by Zindagi Na Milegi and Hangover. So I was playing Farhan's role, and it was called Race in Telugu. So we shot this in Bangkok. So that's how the whole journey from audio to video to the big screen, happened. And after that is when I always had this creative bent and wanted to make a film for film based on dance, right? Because I always had this filmmaking thing. I was making ad films back then, so that's how this whole journey started. But the trigger for making this film, which you want me to answer this, or we go about the film later?
We'll go further, and I have a separate session for your
yes, yeah.
Well, yeah. So we'll talk everything elaborately in that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how you have started, and you have reached a space where you can do all the things together, kind of role now. So in that, how do you explore dance? When did you start dance? You might have started from childhood, or you have started after that. So when did it actually the origin of your dancing career? How did you choose? Okay, this works for me. I have to contribute more into it, and started teaching as well. So how did that go?
Yeah, so I was dancing since childhood. I think some people ask me, since when did you start dancing? I would say, from the time I was in my mother's home. I think I was dancing right from the very childhood. Yeah, so even in our family, every time they used to have a family function, by default, they would expect and they would want me to dance. And I used to dance to, my favorite, was Chiranjeevi. So I used to dance to all Chiranjeevi songs wherever I would go. But the first exposure happened, there was a folk dance program. It was a literary program conducted by the government. And this was like Raro Rangan Night. It was a folk dance performance, which I saw and got inspired. And I used to go to every household and actually perform that, song again for them in that same attire.
Okay.
So I think it was something very intrinsic. I like to say, right? You can never choose dance. Dance chooses you.
Dance chooses.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is also, revealing. It's also the opening line for my film. So that's how the whole thing happened. I kept dancing. While I was dancing, my mom used to keep asking me, right? Why are you spending so much time, money, and energy on something that's not a career? And to be honest, till a few years back, it was not even an alternate career, right? Now it's slowly, I wouldn't still say yet, slowly getting to become. But I kept, pursuing it not with an intent to make it as a career. I did it because I love dancing. I had no clue that I would make a career out of it, or how it would transpire. So the whole getting into it happened when I had an opportunity to choreograph for an NGO. It was called MAD, Make a Difference. And I had the privilege of choreographing for them. And we made them perform at an audio launch called Indu. Okay. It was a film by Charmi. And that was the defining moment. It was the first time I was teaching and choreographing. And I actually saw magic happen. Right? These were less privileged kids, a lot of them orphans, people, with different kind of problems. And during the whole process of teaching, sharing my knowledge, I actually saw them transform. I saw happiness in their faces, which I never believed I could be a source of that happiness, or dance could be a source of that. Which is also when I discovered myself. It was a self-discovery about my expertise in dance and my teaching skill, right, put together, which was tested, and I developed that self-belief, and I also saw the magic happen. I think I'm not in touch with them, but I'm sure wherever they are, some of them are still dancing, and they performed at the audio launch, Right? These kids actually performed at the audio launch of Indu in Hyderabad, this Sharmi's movie. And I think that is when I decided there's a Ravi Teja's movie, called Kick.
Okay.
It was remade in Hindi as well. So, Kick, yeah. So he says, what gives you kick? I think this gave me the kick. I was doing different things, like radio, TV, a lot of different things, but teaching dance or dance per se gave me the highest kick. And that's when I decided that I want to do this as a career. And luckily after that, VVS Lakshman had started a school called First Innings. And that's when I ventured into teaching and choreographing their annual events. And that's how the journey started. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So you have been teaching for a lot of peoples, and you have even represented India at Olympics and won various kinds of medals and things. So can you share me how that happened? How come or how you think it will be possible for a team like a small team which you have choreographed and trained them, and then you made them achieve something bigger. So how does that possible?
Yeah, okay, right. So coming to that, so this was actually the Dance World Cup, which is at the moment considered like the Olympics for dance. It is not the Olympics for dance, but it is the biggest all-genre technical dance competition, and at the moment people consider it the biggest event. And so how this happened was it was actually initially a school team that I was training and choreographing, and we actually went to a local competition in Bangalore, right? And this crew was called Alibis, right, which I formed and I started training them. 70% non-dancers, right? Because when I went to that place, everybody said, "Hey, we have a set of dancers. Why don't you train them?" But I said, if that's the purpose, then there's no need of me. I said, I will audition. Let this be open for anybody who has interest and not skill. Because skill is my job, right? It's my job to train them. I want to see how many people have interest and passion so that I could impart that skill. So I think I selected some 40 students, out of which almost 25 were non-dancers, who had never danced. But I saw interest, I saw passion. Then I trained them for a month and a half. And then there was a competition happening. It was a local competition. We lost. We lost very badly. And a few students quit. A lot of people questioned, that, we trained them, but I don't think they're good enough and whatever. And that's when I announced that, the next one we will do will be the biggest platform. And so that was the promise, and everybody laughed. Because I said, I trained them for only a month, and this is what happened. So I said, let me train them for 6 months, because I saw the spark in them. And then we did the qualifiers. We won at the qualifiers, the India qualifiers. And then we went to Spain. And this was a 6 months long process. The crew is still intact. It's called the Alibis. The crew is still intact. Last year also they qualified. Though I have been traveling, I haven't had the opportunity to still continue training. But I'm privileged that the crew is still intact and going great. We came in the top 8 that year across 55 countries when we represented India at the Dance World Cup in Spain, and it was also the first time that I held the Indian flag and played the national anthem. It was a goosebumps moment to represent the country, and I think this was 2018, and it is a defining point for me to represent the country. And it is actually after that trip that I came back and decided to make this movie. So there's a connection from that Dance World Cup and the movie as well.
Okay, so it all started from there. The origin of your filmmaking is from the competition and the World Cup. Yeah. So yeah. So as you were saying the World Cup and things, so it all started from teaching, and then you have you were dancing Afro Latin. You are into dancing Afro Latin just before that, or you have started just after your house dance and after this Olympics, or even before that? When have you started your Afro Latin dance career?
Right. I think my Afro Latin career started 10 years back. I think it was 2014. And that's when I started this whole Afro Latin journey. And I think I performed at 2014 at the Goa International Latin Festival. And since then, I think I fell in love with the whole idea of Latin dancing. And I kept traveling, since then. And I tried learning from the pioneers in this field whenever they would visit India or whenever I had the opportunity to travel and stuff. It's been 10 years, and I've been teaching actively for around 5 years across Bangalore, Manipal, and now Hyderabad.
Oh, that's good. Okay, fine. So, becoming a certified Pasata teacher from various renowned artists around the world is quite an accomplishment. So, what lessons or insights from your training do you find most valuable in both your personal dance journey and in teaching others?
Right. I think so. Out of all the styles, I think my first performance, 2014, was bachata. So I obviously fell in love with the dance, and I kept pursuing. I was initially drawn to Andrea and Sylvia, who had come to India, and a large part of sensual bachata inspiration comes from them. And Alex and Desire, who are considered the pioneers in bachata, they had come to provide an instructor training course. And this was set of around 10 instructors from India who are all actively teaching now. And we did that, course in person. It was a great learning from Alex and Desire. And I think that particular course I passed with flying colors. And I hope, I think I was their favorite student. And I did that test so well that they were really inspired. And we're actually still in touch. And they even had asked me to come down to LA and start training, teaching, with their allied institutes and studios. And so I think, a large part of help and inspiration came from them during this course. Alex Morel, really kept giving me insights. But I think the biggest thing during this whole thing is every time I learn from a pioneer that the idea is not to be rigid, right? Not to draw those lines so clearly. They say, right? Never take dancing so seriously that you stop having fun. So the idea is, as we keep going, we see that, there is Dominican, there is modern, there is sensual, there is fusion. And we try to define these lines, so rigidly that I feel, according to me personally, I feel breaking these lines and looking at dance as such, right, versus saying, okay, this is Dominican, that is sensual, which is great. But when you're eventually dancing, I think you should be able to look beyond all this. At least that's what I do at the moment. I don't, though of course when I teach all the styles. I give them an exploration into it, though I get deeper into a few of them. But I don't believe in the lines. I believe the music drives the dance. In fact, while I was in Paris recently, some dances with the instructors in Paris, we didn't even do more than like 10% of bachata. It was a lot of contact improvisation, a little bit of kizomba, a lot of different styles, contemporary, whatever, right? Whatever the music demanded. And those were some of the most beautiful dances that we had done. So I think it's important to learn, build strong foundations, invest in learning, but at the same time be able to create your own identity in the process. Like I took some sessions for you also, when I came to Kochi.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So you would have seen, some of the steps are something that I, over time, try creating them and use them on the floor. So even when people come to my sessions, they ask for those particular signature footworks and things that I teach. And a lot of these steps are from house, right? They're not originally from bachata, but I've taken them from house and then put it here. I try mixing a lot of contact improvisation these days and put them in bachata. I try putting a little bit of kizomba and then put them there. So I feel that if you look at the broader picture, to not limit yourself to particular specific styles rigidly, I think to open up. I think this was something that I learned from my training with the pioneers, because when they dance so freely and openly. They don't have lines. Though they teach, when they start dancing, they believe in going beyond just the limited, knowledge and things like that. So that was one thing. Two is at Latin Festival Madras, I had the chance of performing alongside Anya. I think even you were there, I think.
Yeah, I was there. So I had to met you first.
Yeah, performing alongside Anya, who is one of the best Latin dancer, and
Poland.
so she gave a couple of great performing insights. While I was performing with her, she used to tell me those little intricate things like tying your shoelace twice, there's little prep before going on the stage, and also to not be nervous or look at your partner as a pioneer, but once you're on stage, they are your dance partner, and you try to dance as freely and do justice to the music. So you are no longer Bharat, you are the subject of the music, right? You want to do full justice to it. I think in most of my posters or videos, you will still see that my performance with Anya, because that is a defining moment. Yeah. And one more I have to mention, this was the Alma Latina dance company had come to India, and I was fortunate to attend the training. So Gabby Equi, right? So Gabby was the trainer, and towards the end she asked everybody to do a demo, and I also gave a demo. Those were my first days. I had just entered Afro Latin, and I was a part of the training program, and she said something very important. She said that you have certain intrinsic skills, which is teaching, right? She says not everybody can be a teacher, but she said you are a natural teacher, right? You know how to create fun in the class, and she was the one who pushed me to keep teaching, right? Go ahead and plunge into the world of not just dancing but teaching. So I really thank Gabby for this, because she believed in me, right? And she was the one I needed somebody to say, somebody legendary to say it. And she said there are a lot of dancers. Not every dancer can teach. Now this is an important thing, right? Not everybody who knows dance can also share the knowledge. So of course dance is a prerequisite, but it was her words where she said, you are a natural teacher, you have the knack of sharing your knowledge, and you can become a great teacher. And this was around 2015 or something, right? Almost 9 years back. And then, I kept teaching as much as I could during the process. And at the moment, I still believe that dance is divided into three things: creating, which is choreographing; sharing, which is teaching; and three is performing. My biggest bet happens to be sharing of knowledge. That's where I get the biggest kick out of it. Every single time I share, I think that gives me the highest kick. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's great. You have to come up with more classes and
Yes,
classes even. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if you've seen till last year, I was little low because lucky in terms of taking classes because of the film commitments. Yeah. But though now I'm doing, I still have made a conscious decision that I will spend half my time in dance. Is it teaching, choreographing, or performing? So if it's 1 week, I make sure I spend 3 days doing dance, whether it's teaching, whatever.
Okay.
And if it's on a particular day also, I divide half my day into practice, into teaching and dance. And that's a lifetime commitment that I've given to myself, that I will be extensively teaching and teaching more. Yeah.
Nice to hear that for all your followers and students. They will be happy that you are teaching more and more. Yeah. So
Yes.
let's hope for the best for you. And as you were mentioning the Ella from Latin Festival Madras,
Yes.
I saw you first time over there, and we were in touch from there till now. So it's like that performance with Ania. It was my starting stage as well. So that performance kept me pushed me to explore more about Afro Latin styles and get into it and do my own stuff into it. And and you have recognized me as a dancer, and you have called me for a video shoot as well. So you remember that we had a small routine for us, and we practiced and shot the video. But still, the video is not yet out, I think. It's still on production. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called United by Dance, and so now I remember. I forgot from the performance with Anya. You also in the group, right? Yeah, and then we did this music video. I think as I promised, I should release it only after my movie releases. I think that was something.
Yeah, on that day itself, you have told me that. Yeah.
All the listeners, you'll see Anu, killing it. And he was, part of this music video that I choreographed called United by Dance. It was a house dance thing, and yeah. I mean, you're there on all the posters as well.
Yeah, I was there. We posted around like 5-6 years back, and
Yes, yes.
so it will be coming up soon.
This year.
For
Yes,
sure,
this
yeah.
year. For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Good to hear that. And let's come into the filmmaking part now. So I just want to know all about your dance-based film. That's the main motive of this episode, actually. So your film, Revival, tackles the profound theme of the future of dancers relying on the bodies of elderly individuals. So what inspired you to explore this topic, and what message do you have for our viewers to take away from the film?
Right, great. So like I said, good that we had the backstory. So this was 2018.
Yeah.
And when I went to Spain to represent India as a choreographer, and I was holding the national flag, they played the national anthem. It was the most defining moment of my life. And I was interacting with choreographers from across the world. And everybody would keep asking me about Indian dance styles, about Indian culture, Indian art forms. But I was out there representing India in street dance styles, right? So, and that's when it hit me that as much as I love all the global styles, I felt it was important for me to dig into my roots, right? And then that triggered. So on my journey back from Spain to India, I was thinking that, okay, now I have to really explore. And like I said, when I was a child, I was drawn to folk dance. So I thought, let me explore Indian folk dance styles and see. And I started doing my research. And that was when my first debut music video had also released, which and it was being screened at various film festivals. It won 7 awards. And it was the same time, and I was doing my research. And I realized that there are so many folk dances in India. But if I ask, how many folk dances do you know? And I've been asking this question for 4 years. People were not able to name more than 2. Right? Let's say I ask you, Anup, how many folk dances do you know? Can you name? Just as an exercise.
I can't really name. I can't really name. It's too bad. I know that. Yeah. Folk dances, like I'm not getting the names exactly.
Yeah. So
I know a few people, but I'm not getting the name. Yeah.
Right. So even now, right, I keep asking this question even to dancers and experts. Nobody has till now named more than 2 folk dances. And the most common being, let's say, either Bhangra or, some say, Chow, and that's about it. Otherwise, most of them say Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, which are not folk dances. These are classical dances. Yeah. Right? So people really don't know that India is actually known for folk dances. We have so many, more than 200. But nobody in my 4 years has named more than 2. Right? And that's when it hit me. And I realized I went on the net, except around 10 to 15, there is no information about a lot of them. It's not even information. Some of them don't even have names. And then I realized that some dancers have only 2 to 3 trained dancers. And these are all elderly people. So which means if they pass away, the dance also becomes extinct. It's a that dire scenario. And actually that's when it hit me, and I realized that this is not just about my exploration. It's a very serious issue, right? A country is known not by the land, but by its art. And for somebody to really know India, they really need to know the folk dances of India. That's why the name Revival is basically real, and if you see the title animation, you'll see that it's real and it goes out. And that's when I started this whole project. It wasn't just a film for me. It was a purpose. It started with a purpose. And they say you should never make a film just like that. You should make a film only if it means everything to you. So I put in 4 years of my life into making this film, 2 years of shooting, 2 years of post-production. And during these 4 years, I had also consciously made a decision to stay single, to not get into a relationship, not get distracted, because I say it's not a piece of art, it's a piece of my heart. and I've given my full heart into making this film. And so that's the whole 2 years of actually finding these real folk dancers. Some of them don't even have names. We shot this in really dangerous Naxalite areas, without shelter, without food, in really dangerous conditions, where I had to change 4 cameramen because they would keep running away. The shoot was that dangerous. And so now finally, we're able to, pull it through. A lot of sacrifice, but most importantly, I think a lot of my dance friends, especially from New York, they say it's a lifetime project. And I also truly believe, I'm thankful, that I've had the opportunity to make this film. I'm really excited for all of you to see it soon.
Sure. So as you were mentioning that I'm so bad, I feel so bad to not to know such dance forms or dancers in person. So what I say is, I'll make sure that someday it will be telecast, and your film will be telecast, and we come to know all those dancers, and we'll surely gonna appreciate them. And I too make sure that I'm gonna interview few of those peoples in my podcast and make them visible to the world. So I promise you that as well in this session. So you have been winning a lot of awards, screening your film throughout all the festivals and stuff. So winning awards for Revival must have been a rewarding experience. So can you share how the film has impacted both the dance community and the broader audience, and how it aligns with your vision for the future of dance?
Right, good question. So we recently won the best film in non-fiction at the International Film Festival of Andhra Pradesh. And I think, as you rightly said, it is it is definitely very rewarding for somebody who's put in almost 4 years of the prime into it. And so the important thing here is that I felt happy for the project, right? Every time I look at it as a baby, it's no longer just me. It is my baby, and every time something good happens, I feel it's good for the baby. And I feel that in Revival, we could cover only 4 dance styles. Like they say in a feature film, you can only have 4 pivotal subjects, right? Beyond that, people cannot really infer. So we managed to cover 4 dance styles in Revival. But the idea of this project is to cover every dance form, every folk dance form across the country. And there are so many. Which means for us to keep pursuing this purpose, we need recognition for what we have done. We need people to appreciate it. So every small, big award, every screening is helpful to the community at large. People who have seen, a lot of people, when we had screened this at Cannes Film Festival also were asking if it was my first film, because they were really excited, about what had happened, what they had seen. And a lot of people, in fact, I don't know how many were actually inspired by or excited by seeing Slumdog Millionaire and stuff, because it showed the raw India. But this was the real India, and this is not fiction. This is real dancers, the real India, and people who had seen were really, mind blown by it. In fact, right now we have people from Australia, other countries who are saying, why don't you come and do this particular concept? Because we also have a lot of indigenous dance forms. So a lot of global, production houses have come forward that they want me to take up this idea across the globe as well, and the discussions are on. But like I said, we are on to do the part 2 of Revival, because that's the purpose of doing it. It's not a one-time thing. We want to make sure we cover various parts of India, especially the Northeast, especially the island, the Union territories, right? There are a lot of dances that still need recognition. So this is very important. The film is very important for the community in the future as well. And but I would also like to share that most of the reception has and still keeps coming from across the globe, and 5 times more than what we get in India. So maybe that's a little sad thing, right? In India, we still look at it as, okay, there's a film that's made, okay, it's raw, it's about Indian culture, folk dance culture, wow, and that's about it. but we don't see the same excitement that we have seen across Germany or France or the US markets about the film. So I would really, I'm hoping that would change once the film is out, or as more and more films like this keep coming, that we are still, so used to watching formulaic films or commercial films and, idol worshipping. But I think the real heroes, the real stars are out there in villages to be discovered. These guys are dancing with nobody seeing them. Right, I think we are probably idolizing the wrong, heroes. It's time we move on to the real dancers, real heroes of the country, because they are the ones who are actually preserving the art, and not the films that are just being made to make a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah. So, so you have been shooting with real dancers and going to their place, and you said the four styles. So is that belongs to South, or it is belong all over India? Where do you go for shoot, and how was that experience shooting on their place and raw footage kind of? How is that?
Yeah. Right. So we wanted to keep this film as closer to reality as possible. So I started this closer to home, where I was born, in Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
Right. We started the journey from there, and then tried covering Orissa, the Orissa border, and then Telangana. So it was 3 states primarily, which was Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and Telangana, which is one side of the south. And that's where we covered the 4 dances from. And we actually didn't even have data of these dancers. When we started the shoot, I was called by the IMB ministry, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry in Delhi, to their office. So I met the director of the Song and Drama Division, and he really appreciated the project. He, in fact, even wrote an appreciation letter for the work that I had done. He said, "We will give you all the research support, right, for what you're doing." And they did support us with in terms of where we could really find these dancers and stuff. So we ventured on. A lot of this film was quest, was a journey in finding the dancers, first of all. Right? We were actually walking for days. We knew they're in a jungle, but we did not know what jungle it was. It's a huge place. Let's say I know they're in the border of Orissa. Now, the border of Orissa is a huge place. So we stayed there asking people we kept traveling. I had my crew, running away, right? I kept boarding new members onto the crew, right? I was the only one who was going with the belief without knowing actually where I could find them. So my teams a lot of times felt I was mad, I was crazy, he doesn't even know where he's going, and and imagine we didn't have shelter. We didn't have shelter because we were in the jungles, and it was Naxalite area, right? The Orissa border, is a Naxalite area. There was also a threat of Naxalites there. People were not willing to cooperate because they thought they were from the government, and people were not willing to talk to us. There was no food. It was raining heavily. There was a danger for lives. But eventually we did, fine. I fell sick for 6 months after the shoot. After I finished shooting, it took 6 months for me to physically recover from the shooting of the film. And it was transforming. But to be very honest, that before shooting and while shooting, a lot has changed in me. Right, I think I underwent a life transformation in the process because I knew they were going through bad, situations, but I saw them. I actually stayed with the dancers. Right, I stayed in their houses. I was eating the same food, doing the same thing, right, which is what the whole film is about. It's not just about capturing what they were doing. It's about how they live, living with them, and doing the same thing. And I had a heavy heart by the end of the film. Right. Some of the dancers had committed suicides because of lack of opportunities. Some of them have quit dancing and are doing petty jobs. And imagine these are artists, right? Like artists with rich knowledge, people whom, let's say, we have any street dance artists or Latin dance artists. Imagine how we look at them, right? We put them on a pedestal. But these guys are equally big. these guys are some of them are the creators of the dance form, and they don't have food to eat. There were days when they would go hungry to feed me because I was on the location, and it was just a mango pickle and a little bit of rice, and that's about it. So it was a life transforming experience that I still am filled with that whole feeling of responsibility. In fact, I should not be sharing this, but I would anyway share. When COVID hit, my biggest fear was not what would happen to me. My biggest fear was what if people cannot see this, see what I had done. Because I was doing post-production, I was worried what if, if something happens and then people can't see the work. I was more worried every single day, about finishing the project, right? And because it was, I still say it is not an interesting film. It is an important film. It's not just an interesting film, right? We've actually blurred the line between fiction and non-fiction, right? So this is a film where we had blurred the line because where people normally see the nomenclature normally is documentary because it's non-fiction, but we've blurred the line in taking real dancers, real situations, and it is still a non-fiction film, but we don't call it a docu for the reason because we consider it a narrative filmmaking using real artists. Yeah.
Okay. So while filming this, I think you have also learned their dance form and kind of performed with them as well. I saw some posters and
yes.
things. So how does that learning process and what have you learned all those 4 forms, or you just went on through 1 or 2? How does that happen? Like how did you learn from them, and
right.
what was their experience?
Yes. So this film is actually a journey of a street dancer who goes back to exploring his roots, right? It's actually, my journey where I go back to the roots. So the film is not just about documenting, these dances or finding out about this life. It's a journey of a street dancer who is trying to explore his roots by not just learning the dance form, right? But by living their lives. Because they say dance is not just about movements. It's also about absorbing the culture and lifestyle. So this is what you actually see in the film, right? Where I am actually staying with them, living with them, trying to understand, almost transforming myself into them. If you see the poster, a lot of people don't recognize that the one on the poster is me, right? So almost every single dance was a lot of time where I had spent not just learning the moves, but what went behind the moves, what is the lifestyle, culture. And yeah, I learned with them. I eventually performed with them as well. In fact, that's what makes the film exciting, because a lot of times these dancers used to challenge me, right? Because, when I wanted to learn, they would say, this is not possible because we've been doing this from childhood. And you can't just come and say, I want to learn this or whatever. So I was every day put through tests by the dancers. And I had to really work day and night in learning them and making sure next day I passed those tests one by one. And that's what the film is about, whether I actually pass those tests and I'm able to learn the dances and perform with them, or I, kind of fail in the process, or whatever. But yeah, every single dance in the film, I had actually learned it and also performed with them, and I still continue to practice, what I learned. I would want to go back and once the film releases, probably get those artists to perform and build that, culture for those, dance forms here. It was an enriching experience. Learning any dance form is a beautiful experience, and this is a raw dance. In fact, one of the dances is, you have to see in the film, is the most difficult dance form on earth. Okay, and I mean it because you've done, when we did the shoot, we did house. So they have footwork as intricate and complex as house. Then they're also playing the drum with their own hands while they're dancing. And they're also singing. So there are 3 things happening. You can imagine when we shot, we had a music, we had a boombox, we played music. and they were only focused on dancing. Here they are doing complex movements, right? As complex, or probably more complex. Here, three things together: vocals, instruments, and footwork. And they're doing all acrobatics, very difficult dance form. And you should see in the film that I even now I've been exploring so many styles. It is the most difficult dance form, I would say, because to do all the three, and they do it barefoot on sand, on like rocks and stuff. Yeah, it's very intense.
Nice. So it's kind of curious to know. Can you just name those four styles? The name of those styles, if you don't have.
So yeah. Good question, but we don't want to name at the moment or talk too much about it.
No problem. That's fine.
The film is due for an India premiere soon, so we want people to come experience and see, because I think it's a brand building process, right? It's about launching those brands. In fact, brands has never been documented. So I can't even put it out. It's never been documented. Some of these are there, but good question. I think a lot of people keep asking, and they really want people to see the film and come up and
It's the motive of your passion and towards the filmmaking. Yeah. I really appreciate that, and I'm looking forward for the film to be telecast soon. So, is there a date, or it's still on process?
Yeah. So currently we are. So currently it's having a film festival run. We screened it at Cannes. We recently won an award at the Film Festival of Andhra Pradesh, and we are looking for an India premiere. I mean, right now we're in talks for an India premiere, and once things materialize, then we will announce in 2 to 3 months. We are due for an India premiere, and then I think it will be out for the entire world to see. And I can't wait for two important things. One is I can't wait for people to appreciate these art forms, and also can't wait to start the sequel to it, because appreciation for the first part is very important for me to see at what scale I can take it. Though we are already in pre-production. So I think these are two important things that I'm looking forward.
Nice. I wish you all the best for things further to release, and for the sequel as well. So I'm looking forward to, and people will be appreciating for sure for your all the hard work and your struggle throughout the journey of making the film. So I'm just eagerly waiting for that. So good luck.
Right. Thanks.
And no problem. So as someone with such diverse experience in the entertainment industry, like dance, what advice would you give to aspiring dancers or filmmakers and creatives looking to carve their own path through dance?
Right. I mean, a very good question. In fact, I think 2 weeks back I was at IIM Bangalore judging their dance competition, and I saw so much talent, a lot of dance aspirants, and I shared this there also at the campus, and I feel this is a great platform to share. I think for dance aspirants, very important, I keep emphasizing this, is there's a lot of pressure to be the best, in the world right now. And I keep saying this, that you never have to be the best in dance. You only have to be. The keyword is be and not BEST, which is you just have to be yourself, get better than yesterday. And the only way to beat competition is to create your own identity. So identity is the keyword. As much as you try imitating or emulating other dancers, emulating what you see, you will always be compared, right? The world is hostile out there. You will always be compared. I keep saying this, till the dancer becomes the dance, right? That was also, the caption at my first debut music video. So it says that you have to blur the line between dance and the dancer. Like how MJ style. Now, Michael Jackson was a person, but we call it an MJ style. He literally blurred the line between the dance and the dancer, which means he has no competition because it is his style. Similarly, I think every dancer, right? Anup, becomes the dance, right? Anup has his own style. I create my own style. We need to work on building identity. Now, identity comes from patterns of life. Let's say I was a long distance runner, which is why I love footwork. I love fast footwork. I love being swift on the field. So I'm using my pattern of life, which is no connection to dance. So whenever people see me, they're not just seeing me dance, but they're also seeing my whole life, right? So even I urge all the schools also to work on building identity for the dancers versus making clones, right? There's a lot of teaching where people are just probably teaching what is already there and telling them to do the same thing, or telling everybody to keep doing the same thing. So when you see them going out, you will see 100 people who look the same, which is essentially cloning, and that's good as long as you keep it to learning fundamentals, techniques to a particular point. But eventually you will also have to train your students to help them build their identity, right? I think one of the reasons why we have successfully been able to share knowledge and train people is because we are working on building a style for every single dancer, right? Even if we have a group, we want everybody to have their own style and build it. So one is identity. Two, and a very, very important thing is originality, right? There is so much of peer pressure, so many reels, so much of fancy videos happening. People are so used to just emulating them and executing them. What I would suggest is work very hard on your technique, on your basics, so that you can create your own content. And instead of trying to pick, you can obviously learn from the choreographer, right? But not, just, picking what somebody else has done and then, just keeping, which is okay to your point. But eventually you have to work on being an original dancer, which, can happen if you work on your technique, basic, and building your own identity. So I keep saying this, even in competitions and whatever, it's okay to look okay as long as your choreography is original. Yeah, a lot of people have so much pressure. I want to look amazing. I want to look great. But hey, you are probably doing somebody else's choreography, and you're probably not even giving credit for that person. Right? You're almost acting like it's your choreography. The least you can do is give a credit that it's somebody's choreography, right? And choreography is a very tough process, right? It's always done to the level of the dancers. If I am choreographing, I do it to the level of my students. So I can't put the pressure on myself saying I have to choreograph at that level. I will choreograph at the level of my students. So it's okay if it doesn't look jazzy, right? In fact, sometimes we probably have lost competitions, but we will not compromise on the idea that we will use jazzy, fancy stuff or pick stuff which makes it look good. No, it's a learning process. It's okay if we lose in the beginning. All that matters, like in one Shimbu's movie, he says, it doesn't matter who wins at the beginning. It matters who wins at the end. Right? So eventually, two important things, identity and choreography. And three, most important thing I keep saying is respect is the key word. For everybody in the community who is sharing, who is dancing, or who is performing, I think we all need to have respect for each other. I have a lot of backbiting that happens, a lot of people just casually talking about, I said talk about dance, but not dancers. Right? I don't think any of us are custodians of the art form to talk about somebody's dance, whatever. Let's focus on talking about dance and not about dancers. Remove the negative energy, because the whole idea of dance is being positive, right? It's positive energy, the energy and the vibe. I see that because I keep traveling, I don't want to name, but there's certain, places where the culture is not very great. There's so much of time that people spend on just talking versus actually practicing. So I think this is a simple thing. Don't get into this thing. And we in our academy, we follow a 3-monkey rule, right? The 3-monkey rule is don't say, don't hear, or don't see anything about dance. See, if somebody is talking bad about dance, me and all our students, we say, hey, stop it, right? Or if somebody is doing something we don't see, we don't encourage people talking, bad about it either. It's a 3-monkey rule. About not just your fellow dancers, instructors, whatever, right? Just, focus on yourself, keep it clean, focus on your energy, because energy is everything. Dance is an honest form of expression. if you're going to bring in so much negative energy, then it will be shown in the dance as well. So yeah, I really wish that people stop doing things behind and focus on respect. Like when I was coming on the show, a podcast was an idea that I've been having. For those who know, I started as a radio jockey. So radio is my audio is the thing, right?
Okay.
But I have a lot of respect for you because you actually started doing it, and doing a dance specific thing, and it's a great a step and an achievement in itself to be able to do it and promote art and dance using a medium, and things like that. So I think we should all have respect for everybody contributing in whichever way to dance, because we are all very small players. We are all drops in an ocean, right? But we should not behave like a drop in an ocean. I say we should always behave like an ocean in a drop, because each one of us can be that impactful. So let's not be drops in an ocean, but be ocean in a drop. All of us can build that little change in the scene and building the culture.
Yeah, that's so inspiring to hear all those words. The fact is, you go learn all kind of stuffs and try to create your individuality and implement your own, explore your own style and respect each other, and don't talk anything bad about the form, the art form. Just go positive and build the community. That's the
Yes.
whole idea of being in the dance field.
Yeah.
So, can you share a memorable moment or experience from your journey that has had a significant impact on your perspective as an artist and a storyteller?
Right. I think, to be honest, I keep saying my first ever dance, right? When I had watched a folk dance performance happening, it was an awareness show. I think that was a defining moment, one as a child. And I still remember it was a Telugu folk dance called Ra Ro Ranganna Tananana, and then you hold a stick and you do it. And I was so drawn that I borrowed a stick and I went to every house randomly. I was small kids, I knew they wouldn't say, and I would go to their house and perform that. So I think I had so much of a calling as a kid to this one particular incident. Then I feel as I grew up, if you ask me about the Latin, scene, I think that performance with Anya was a defining moment for me. I learned so much, and it was a privilege to be, performing with her. And it remains one of, the most defining for me, at least, in the Latin scene. And so also dancing, in revival, especially folk dances, was like almost like a dream, come true, to be able to actually do those dances, in the film, because I say it's not just a dance film. It is life. It is life of dance and not life of a dancer. So I think these, remain at the moment my most, defining, moments. But also I do attribute a lot to, I started my career as a dancer with Shamak Davar. And almost for 4 years. So I think there was a lot of performance techniques and attributes that I learned from Shamak Davar during that process. I do, and I also want to thank my teachers. The defining moments was for street. I think my teacher Kundu sir, right? He was the person who actually encouraged me to dance, teach, and do all of it. I used to travel with him during my initial days of learning with him, and we used to watch movies. I shared a great bond, and I'm thankful, to Kundu sir, for this. We keep bumping into each other whenever we travel in different cities. Yeah, he definitely has been a turning point for me with respect to whatever that my affinity towards street and Gabby, that teacher training with Gabby, I think those words they're still ringing because when everybody is saying, "Hey, don't teach," hey, how many years have been dancing? No, you're a threat to us, or you can't come to our market, right? So Gabby kept saying, "You're a born teacher, so you should go and start sharing knowledge. And this was my initial years. I wasn't then yet gone deep into this dance, but she insisted that, you have it and you should start sharing. She said, it's okay if you make mistakes. You keep learning, from this whole process. But yeah, I'm like the Dance World Cup 2018, holding the India flag, changed the whole perspective. In fact, my academy is called Perspectives. So we said dance is all about perspectives. It has changed the thing. We then went to Portugal the next year to represent India. Then 2021, we actually won 6 medals for India at All Dance World. So I think that changed the whole thing. And now we're literally, the self-belief, and confidence has, gone so high thanks to these few good things that have happened.
Nice. So, looking ahead, what are your aspirations and goals for the future, both in dance career and in filmmaking?
Right, great. So, a lot of people, say you do a lot of things, right? How do you manage? So, I keep telling I do the same thing. For me, it's connecting the dots. They're all the same thing. Whether it was on radio, TV, movies, a dance, it's all entertainment. I say, at the end of the day, I'm an artist born to entertain. And so I say my heart is dance and my brain is filmmaking. So in one sentence, I define myself as I travel to shoot dance. So this is one sentence that defines my entire life and what I plan to do, which means I want to travel a lot. I want to make films, and I want to make films about dance or revolve around dance, even if the films are not about dance, but I would like to choreograph those films, and so I want to connect them together. So touchwood, thankfully we're doing a couple of films. One is called The Dance of Darkness. It's a Japanese film, which is again a dance-based film, which I am directing as well as choreographing. Then there's a French film called Kwanje Theme, which is When I Love You, which I am acting and choreographing as well. So I think these are films that are already in the pipeline, and I want to continue making films about performing arts. I wouldn't say restricted only to dance. I feel they're all connected. Like say music and dance are like railway tracks. So I can't just isolate dance. So for me, dance, music, theater, visual arts, as performing arts as such, I want to make more films that help build, like as a give back to the art forms that have shaped me, as a person. Right? That's what I want to do.
Nice. All the best for you, for all wishes. And okay, so can you please name 3 persons or influencers whom do you look out for artistic influence or kind of inspiration?
Yeah, so I think the first is my teacher Kundu sir. Even today, he remains to be an inspiration, because for me, I keep saying this, for somebody to be an inspiration, and I believe the same thing as me as a teacher, you have to look up to that person. So I look up to, Kundu sir, not just as a dancer, as a teacher, but also as somebody, who, as a person, right? Dance is a lifestyle. It's not just, a movement. So he's a vegan. I'm not saying I'm not promoting, the whole idea, but I'm saying the whole idea about the habits, teetotaler or vegan, who loves watching movies, who keeps doing productive stuff, he keeps traveling, and he still believes in art and stuff. I think I look up to him a large part. I still look at his videos for inspiration. It remains to be one of my biggest, inspiration. 2 is my master for Buto, which is a Japanese contemporary, Rhizome Lee. He's from Japan. He's a Japanese master. He's almost like a father figure, to me, that whenever we perform and I leave, we almost have tears, like a father-son bond, that he's an elderly, person, almost around 75 years old. So he is somebody, whom I really look up to. Again, not just for dance. For me, it has to be beyond dance. For them as a person, as an inspiration to be. And 3, I think, in terms of, let's say, I mean, it's very difficult because when you come to three, you're like looking at the list and then trying to cut down and see who is this, third person that you look up to, whatever. Because I actually, since we're talking about influencers and people that you look for inspiration, a lot of people videos that I keep seeing for inspiration. And some of them are the street dancers like Kapila, from France. I really, look at his videos. The Kapila brothers, in fact, both of them, are really, drawn to them. In fact, all the house dancers, I think I can't, put it down to it, but I really love the kind of work they do, and all of it. But if I had to put down a name, I think I would still put down, Anya as one of the inspiration for me, because I had the chance to actually perform and learn from her. So yeah, I think this is it. Also evens out, right? There are two male teachers and one female teacher. Yeah,
That's nice. So yeah, as we come to the end of this episode, one last question, and here we go. So you can just mention it short, or it's your wish. So what is dance to you in short?
Yeah, so for me, dance is, I'll tell you first what dance is not. So dance is not a switch for me, right? So it's not, a lot of people say when they come to the studio, it's not a switch. So when they come to the studio, they say, oh, now I'm a dancer, right? They wear the dance clothes and say, okay, now I'm a dancer. Then when they step out, they switch it off and say, okay, now I'm a different person. Yeah. So for me, dance is a lifestyle. It is who you are, which means even if you're walking on the street, somebody should look at you and say, hey, he's a dancer. He need not do a single move, right? Dance is energy for me. If, let's say, somebody is walking, people should feel that energy, that vibrance, the aura, the positive energy. Because for me, to be a better person, to be a better dancer, is to be a better human. I feel that's how I define. I mean, this line is also from the film, so I've told some of those lines from the film already. But yeah, so to be a better dancer is to be a better human. So we all are dancing not because we want to become great dancers. We're dancing because we want to become better humans in the whole process. Dance is just a medium for me. The end ultimately is all of us becoming better people, evolving, and making this whole world a better place to live. And I still keep saying that it is not the vaccines that saved the world during COVID. It is art and only art. We all consume so much of Netflix, so much of art, the 2 years to survive that loneliness and come out of it. So artists are very important. So if it's the end of the show, I keep telling, please preserve, respect, and take care of artists. If you see an artist around you, understand that yes, they're different because they think differently. They are not easy to comprehend. So please do take care of them, because we want more and more artists for this world to be a better place. So we don't get paid leaves, we don't get holidays. We are working around the clock, to create better art, to make this world a happy place eventually. So take care of artists and underlying respect for everybody in this world, every performing artist is contributing right now, including Anup, who started this whole podcast about dance and spreading it in this little way. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bharat, for all this, sharing all this, your journey, your struggles, and everything about your passion towards dance, your performance, your influence, and the main thing, the project of Revival. So I hope, I'm eagerly waiting to see the whole film, and I'm sure that I'll be promoting it to my ability to reach a larger audience as far as I can do it. So all the best to you, and thanks for coming to our show. And this is not just one show. I'll be keep on asking you to share your thoughts and things in a different perspectives. we can take that further throughout this process. So all the best for joining us. It's been quite interesting, and I'm sure that this episode will give a lot of information, and it will impact the viewers in their dance forms to build up their career and reach their goals. So there will be a very good takeaway from this episode. So thank you for sharing all the thing. Your last words, and we'll wind up here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anup, and thank you, listeners. All the listeners who are listening to this. So I started my career on radio. So this is technically a very special form of communication, which is audio. It's very special for me. And when I joined, I was told that in media, there will always be around 50% who might not like you, right? So don't change yourself for those 50%, because there's a good 50% who love you for who you are. So for all the artists, believe in yourself, be who you are. You all have an audience, and keep doing the work, keep putting in the madness for who you are into the craft that you're doing. And thank you so much, Anup, for having me on the show. For all the listeners also, I interacted with a lot of dancers. One thing that I have to tell about Anup, I met him at a festival, then I took him to my music video. He is a very positive person, and I think that's one trait that we look for in dancers. That's as an advice also for all the aspiring dancers. Positivity is something that we all need to work on, and the growth mindset, the willingness to learn, and I think that is what can take us all places. And thank you so much. There is a lot more I feel in my life to do and contribute to dance, and fighting the daily battles that we all as artists fight, keep hustling. And it's great. I think it's a great start to the day. Thank you, Anup, and please call me again. I would love to share as much of insights, knowledge, and learn during the whole process as well. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much for all this, Bharat. Nice to have you on our show. Once again, thanks a lot, and see you soon on another episode. That wraps up another fantastic episode of Nadanam. I hope you enjoyed diving into the world of dance with us today. Before we go, remember you can stay connected with us on social media for more updates, behind the scenes content, and exciting announcements. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube at Nadanam Dance Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcast or your favorite podcasting platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners who share our love for dance. Thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, keep dancing, keep dreaming, and keep spreading the joy of moment wherever you go. So, this is Anup signing off. Keep dancing, have fun. Cheers.